I submitted with my mom. She flew in from Albuquerque. We drove to Springfield. We dropped off the petitions, and then we went to Lincoln's tombstone in Springfield, a giant obelisk where he lays in rest with his family members. Um, I guess my question is, since this is the atheism house, I'm just wondering, do atheists have priorities of communication? Because, God, in my opinion, deals with intelligence. You might say supreme intelligence. And so my question is, a lot of Clubhouse users who claim that they are atheists, I'm just wondering, is there a priority of intelligent communication in your lives?
I would like to answer that.
Absolutely.
And I can't speak for all atheists, but I can speak for myself being an atheist for over 20 years. My priority in communication is honesty. All of my rooms for the past 4 years have been on replay, and you will see that my feelings, thoughts, opinions, and facts going back 4 years are honest. Unlike you, unfortunately, when you have been on the show and when you have communicated with me before, you have said one thing and then weeks, months, if not years later, you have said another. Now, of course, you've commented on that before that you were joking or not serious. But then again, I don't think you're an atheist. I don't know. You can clarify that. But the answer to your question, for me and only me, I am honest and sincere, unlike you. Back to you, Reverend Scott.
Thank you for that, Uncle Stephen. Do any other atheist moderators want to comment about your communication priorities, or are you guys good?
I'd like to, when someone says, like, God is the supreme intelligence, then why does the book say he created the earth and then the sun? That doesn't sound very intelligent.
Maybe it's just not organized. Daryl, he's intelligent but not organized, disorganized. And as George Carlin reminded us, very bad with money. He always needs money. He's just loves you and has a plan for your life, but just can't manage money.
Well, I want to reject what Steve said. I think I'm very honest, and I did, that's Steve's opinion about me. I would just say that my question dealt with intelligence. I think honesty and transparency are intelligence, so I agree with Steve in that respect, but I do not agree with his disparaging remarks about my honesty. I, don't appreciate that, Steve. And if you don't have anything nice to say about people, just don't say it. Didn't your mother ever teach you that?
Well, what my mother and father did teach me is that if you're bold enough to answer the question, you ask the question, you should be ready to hear the answer. And I can produce multiple recordings of you saying one thing and then saying something completely the opposite. So when you tell me not to say anything disparaging, I'm speaking factually correct.
Uncle Steve, like the young people say, you have receipts, you're saying.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
I have receipts.
They're facts, not opinions. Everything is always a fact, never an opinion. Got it. Okay.
No, I give it. I have my opinions, but the difference between me, you, and other people is that when I have an opinion, I say, this is my opinion, or this is my crystal ball. When I say something is a fact, it's a fact. And I have receipts where you say one thing, and then the very next day, the very next week, or the very next month, you comment on the same topic and say something different. I'm speaking factually. I have not given my opinion, John, candidate, or whatever the hell your name is. I have not given my opinion today whether or not I like you, dislike you, respect you, don't respect you. I have given factually correct information, and I have the receipts to back up my facts.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you very little.
All right, John, thank you for sharing. Good luck on the campaign trail. I want to go to my main man, another Californian, David G. David G., welcome to the stage. Would you like a fresh five to tell us what's on your mind?
No, I kind of caught the room after right when Norm was speaking about his new great mayor that's going to lead the city to greatness. Go Norm. I'm kidding. No, I think it's
Exactly.
it's interesting optics having a guy like Mandami lead the city. We have.
What up? Welcome to Uncle Steve's Clown World.
What's up?
Not much. What are you
I
doing?
was trying to find Uncle Steve's Clown World, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, you must be blocked.
Thank you very little.
Thank you very little.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this app is a waste of time for losers.
Well,
Okay, fine. What's that?
I mean, I would say yes, but not if you're using it and it's not using you.
That's true. I mean, the one thing that Clubhouse has made me a very patient person.
Mm.
And if it's not my girlfriend and her stupid fucking bullshit, nothing pisses me off anymore. People don't get to me anymore. And that's nice. It's like, oh, really? Is that how you think? Oh, you're retarded. Have you seen the Sydney Sweeney interview?
No.
No?
No.
Have you heard the news about it?
No.
You haven't heard even the news about it.
Mm-mm.
So you're just totally checked out? So that's it? You're done?
What are you talking about, bro? What is Sydney Sweeney, the center of the fucking earth? What the fuck?
No, I'm just joking.
What?
I posted a video in the chat that you might want to see. It's really the only video you need to see about the whole subject. It's all you need. I don't expect you to watch it, but it's a good video as well.
Well, Uncle Steve has never read Marcus Aurelius, but Marcus wrote that life is opinion and that the universe is transformation.
Oh, I found it. We could go back to his room. Uncle Steve is an idiot.
Well,
Uncle Steve is like an asshole. I mean, he's kind of like a jerk. Like,
Well-
I used to think Uncle Steve is funny, but like, Uncle Steve's kind of dumb.
well, he's dumb in the sense that he gets angry. And if you can make somebody angry, you can make them your slave.
He's dumb in the sense that he doesn't understand what's wrong with his vocal intonation. Do you agree, John? Uncle Steve doesn't understand how pretentious and pedantic and condescending and arrogant and full of himself he sounds when he talks this way. Wouldn't you agree, John?
I agree. And he told me one time that I am the biggest waste of talent he's ever, and I said to Scott, I was like, was that a projection? Like, he's talking about himself here, dude, because he thinks he's got all this talent and it's not going to, good use. But listen, all communication is projection. And, you just got to be careful what you say about people because it ends up becoming a projection. And, that's life. I mean, you can't win with insults. You just can't. And it's not even about winning. It's about intelligence,
Right. That's true. Well, I'm smoking a joint here. I've got a joint break.
You're wasting it. You're wasting it.
What, by smoking a joint?
Without pairing it with a book
Oh, I see.
and a camera.
Well, I'm in between driving lessons here.
Oh, Well, I got some really interesting books. I went on eBay and I just bought a bunch of quotations books because reading really good quotations is basically like wisdom ASMR. So I'm
Yes.
gonna start recording all these quotes and sayings and throwing those into YouTube, maybe one at a time, or just 60 seconds or 3 minutes. But I'm gonna start doing a YouTube ASMR. I mean YouTube, quotation videos. It's not like
That sounds good.
yeah, it's Mick Zed made fun of me the other day. He's like, "Oh, so you fucking commit copyright infringement and you read other people's books? Wow."
How is that copyrighted?
He's like trying to be so pure and austere where if like it's not original or you didn't create the intelligence, like you're basically stealing from somebody. And I was like, "Oh, you mean like reading a book?" It's just
Yeah, it's stupid.
everybody wants to be a hater. That's life. Welcome to life.
Do you drive? You have a car, right? Yes, of course. But
Yeah.
you know when you're gonna make a left, you gotta yield to the oncoming.
Yeah.
But sometimes people in the oncoming lane will just stop and like wave you in, be like, "You can go."
Yeah.
And if you don't go, even though they waved you in, if you're like, "No, thanks, I'll just wait my turn, thanks." Have you ever done that?
No,
They lose their minds. They lose their minds and they start yelling inside of their own car. I've seen it happen on many occasions. They will lose their mind and in their own car, they're now yelling. And you can see them, but you can't hear them. They're losing their mind. This is because they tried to be nice to you, but you decided not to take that courtesy.
well, when I go
Imagine if somebody held the door for you and you're like, "Oh, I'm good. I got to make a phone call." And they're like, "Fuck you." It's like,
well, when I
"Thank
go
you, sir."
when I go
but-
when I go to the gym and I make a left into the parking lot, people creep out to take a left. And like I have to loop around them and they're looking at me like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "What the fuck? Like you
Right,
can't
fuck
creep
you.
out, bro. You can't creep out and I got the right of way here. So like don't look at me like I'm doing something wrong here. You're the one creeping out into traffic."
Very much. Very much.
They know they're in the wrong and you just look at them. You don't say anything, you don't make any gestures, you just look at them and you drive by like,
Right.
"Hello, I am driving correctly."
I am correct. You are wrong.
Yeah, anytime, can you imagine getting robbed and then you get angry and you insult the robber so the robber decides to kill you? Otherwise, the robber wasn't actually going to kill you. He was just going to rob you and leave, but you decided to open your mouth.
You mean that's actually stupid? Like, why would you do that?
Meaning that, like, you know how people crash out on Clubhouse and they open their mouth and they start, lobbing insults. What I'm saying is, like, there's probably been countless examples of people getting robbed who weren't gonna die in the encounter, but because they opened their mouths, they ended up dying.
Right. Right. That's true.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I've been robbed and I haven't died because I kept my mouth shut. But I imagine if I was like calling the robber the N-word, he might have just
Yeah.
lost his patience with me and killed me.
Well, I worked at this like assembly warehouse after I got out of the army for Avon. I was a shift supervisor, and this woman Molly, she says, "John, I want you to fire that person right over there. His name is Cornelius or whatever the fuck his name was. Black kid." And so I said, "Okay." So I walk up to him, I say, "Can you come over here? I need to speak with you." And I bring him into an office and I'm like, "Well, Molly told me to tell you that this is your last day and that I have to fire you." He's like, "What? Why the fuck that bitch want to fire me?" And I was like, "Well, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to go in her office and you're going to apologize and say you're sorry for, not working hard enough." And so we for an hour, dude, we ran this kid through a script and he said, "I'm sorry. I'm gonna work 10 times as hard, and I apologize, for not wearing the gloves and looking at my cell phone and all this shit. So we literally, I said, don't say anything else. Just ask for forgiveness and say you're sorry, and just say what we told you to say. And so we go in the office, and she's like, John, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you bringing him in my office? I told you to fire him. He's done. He's got to leave the facility. And I said, well, before he leaves, he wants to say something to you. And he goes, why the fuck you want to fire me, bitch?
Oh my god.
I couldn't
You didn't say
believe
anything
it.
else?
That was it. He just he exploded on her.
I
And,
thought you were gonna go off again and say more.
dude,
I thought you were gonna go off.
I shook my.
Why you bitch? I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch. Bitch, I'll kill you today. I'm gonna kill you today, bitch.
Couldn't believe it, dude. I was like, as I walked him out, I was like, bro, why did you do that, man? We told you not to say anything. We told you exactly what to say. The whole thing was a forgiveness act.
I'm sorry, John. I just couldn't help myself, sir. I just see the white lady. I see a nice white lady. I just gotta say, fuck you, bitch. I'm gonna kill you, bitch. I'm sorry, John. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry, sir.
Couldn't believe it, bro. I was just like dumbfounded. I was like, dude, now you deserve to get fired because like you're a fucking idiot, and we worked with you for an hour, bro.
You were trying to save him?
We're trying to save him and his job. Trying to save his fucking job, dude. And the guy
Trying to help him out.
Guy fucking just went. He turned his back on us, the people who like I was taking on.
Like, she might have turned to you and been like, John,
you're fired too.
You're fired too, you dumb fuck.
Exactly.
I fucking told you to fire this guy, you idiot. You got hoodwinked by him. You fell for it. You moron.
Dude, that's life. It's like you stick your neck out for somebody and they just fucking dump on you, and you're like, bro, why? You're like, I didn't really care. I didn't really care to begin with, and fuck you too. And you're like, oh, fuck me. Okay, fuck you. Bye. Anyways, Steve Appel, like, this is his, silver radio mic moment. A lot of people have always wanted to be that DJ, that host on the radio from their childhood. And, this is people's nostalgia. In many ways, Clubhouse is nostalgia for people. Like JB, Jay Braska, I think this whole thing is like, their mic, their podcast. This is like, because of Joe Rogan and all these podcasts, and it's like people have spent so much time listening to podcasts now. They're like, I'm doing that. This is my moment to try to do this. I mean, this is projection, but anyways, I'm
sure that's part of it.
Part of it.
But it's not a podcast. It's a never-ending stream of retardation. It's different from a podcast.
Well, that's why I mix books into all this, because I recognize how brain rot is now created, which is what I call conversational hypnosis. All communication is hypnosis. So if you're just having regular conversations like the way we're having, what we're really doing is having a low grade information exchange. So, you can't really transmit high valuable information in 30 seconds, 60 seconds. It takes longer than that. So that's why this app is like brain rot exchange. And what people are saying isn't intelligent to begin with. So you just have stupid, hypnosis exchange. That's what it is. And and this is the other thing, is people are subconsciously looking to get laid. People do peacock here. So that's the other part. There's like just many, it's normal life, basically, right? It's just people being who they are. And that's it.
It's funny that the opposite of peacock is actually cockpea.
Well,
there's something there. I don't know what it is, but there's wisdom of the ages contained therein.
Well, somebody in the YouTube chat just wrote bald.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Somebody else wrote, can I have a mod? Shiny
bald
head.
You know what they write about me? Mole. I don't know if you can picture my face, but I have a mole on my face, and they always say, nice mole. And from the Austin Powers, there's always mole. And then I'll post a video and be like, cool mole, dude. It's like, fuck you. What do you mean? Bald. Bald! This nigga bald!
So Cora wrote that Norm is a paid shill. I wrote, your opinion is whack. And they have really been going on it for quite a minute now here. Damn. Yeah, Norm appears to be a paid shill. Cora, your opinion is whack. No, it's not. Blackwater tried to hire me to do the same sort of work around fracking in Pennsylvania. It's a real job. I'm just telling the truth, Cora. My pronunciation is quite right. Your lucrative truth, Norm, not the objective truth. Norm appears to be a paid shill. You're kidding, right? Nope. And no, I don't get paid for showing you that the Emperor has no clothes. You have no clothes, Norm. Cora, your monotone seems to reflect that you are yourself an unenthusiastic shill. Norm, I'm autistic. My speech is flat naturally. She's so stupid. So full of shit. But you can retreat to your ableism if you're feeling threatened. Aren't you actually paid to repeat your monotone pop psychology virtue signaling mishmash week after week? I don't believe in your ableism. It's a weak religion.
So actually, Cora is a shill. That's what you're saying? Cora turns out is the shill?
Damn, you're right. I didn't catch that projection.
That's like if Uncle Steve attacked you and he was like, John, you don't even make any money for your stupid time on Clubhouse.
See, he's upset.
And it's like, Steve, you don't make any money for your time on Clubhouse, do you? Does Steve make money?
So I told Steve, because he basically had like a man cave show kind of in the beginning, and I was like, Steve, we should try to sell your catalog to a hedge fund or a VC looking to get into podcasting. And I was showing him all these Spotify articles about how they're, expanding into podcast. And so I told him maybe we could sell your show, and obviously that never materialized because it's nobody's going to buy shit. And so he says like I'm a liar and that I fed him a bunch of lies. It's just he's just
You fed me a bunch of lies about how I was talented and people liked me. And once you got to know me and figured out that I was boring and pedantic and condescending and stupid and boring and stupid, then you stopped filling me up with hot air, John. How dare you, John? Why did you do that?
You're right, Cora. It's ironic that you accuse Norm of doing what you were doing. So who's talking now? Oh, Ta Uma. Do you know who Ta Uma is?
No.
Oh, she's this really annoying Chinese woman. Listen to her voice.
All right, thank and appreciate that. We're going to give you a first-class escort to the VIP. If I have one last wish for everybody that's within the sound of my voice, it's that as you travel these clubhouse streets, when you speak and when you listen to other people, do your best to distinguish fact from opinion. You heard me speak earlier to the candidate, how I was saying, he specifically asked, when it comes to atheists, what do you value most in your communications? I specifically said, I only speak for myself, but I value that I am sincere, consistent, and speak the truth. What is the truth? Well, when I give my opinion, it is not only my opinion, but is a consistent opinion, and I identify it as such. When I identify it as a fact, that means it should not be disputed. Otherwise, it's not a fact. That being said, let's say hello to Leroy. Leroy, good morning. Welcome back to the show. You have a fresh five. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you. I am truly grateful that I moved to New York City in 1977. And
they're going on about Mom Donnie. So what, you're driving to the driver's driving course?
10.
Well,
I'm about to try my first ever Zin.
What is that? The chewing tobacco from what's his face?
No, it is a tobacco pouch. It is a pouch of tobacco that you don't chew, and apparently there's no spitting involved. And I did recently find one of these weed pouches that I was at a weed store, and they have like a weed pouch. You hold the pouch in your mouth and it gives you weed. And I thought, this is pretty good. This would be a great way to quit smoking. And I need to quit smoking. So I'm going to try it.
Well, I'm a big believer that all communication is hypnosis. So until you do communication work with regards to stop smoking, you're going to go nowhere, because it's
Right.
basically a program and an education you have to ingrain into your consciousness. And I do have these hypnosis records. And so prior to the hypnosis, you state your goal. After the hypnosis, you state your goal. And there's other things tied to it. But basically you have to you just have to be done with smoking,
Right.
like it's not the priority. Your priority is the health and other things you're doing, not the smoking. So this gay guy that I know, I was like, well, why don't you try hypnosis? He smokes cigarettes. And he's like, that doesn't work. I was like, well, if you're sitting there listening to a hypnosis record for an hour, guess what you're not doing while you're listening to it? So it does work even in the short term. That hour of listening to it, you're not smoking. So, until you actually show me that you're doing communication work with regards to not smoking, as opposed to coming on here and smoking, like, then I won't, then I'll know you're actually going somewhere. Otherwise, all you're doing is smoking weed and telling me about how you want to quit smoking, while you're smoking. Like, that's what happens. So basically the dialectic, you have to control the dialectic in order to control your behavior.
I think you're right.
It's not necessarily that I'm right. It's a theory, but in theory, in practice are two different things. The big part of the alchemical process is the doing. It's the action that precedes or follows the words. So try it. Prove it to me.
These things suck.
Prove it to me. Show me on this
Rejected.
app. Open up a room called reading a book to prevent myself from smoking. Then I will know you're putting your mouth where your intention is.
Right.
Don't quote McZed. That's what McZed says all the time. Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
That's the McZed. That's the McZed right.
Got it.
Coming down to the end, 13 minutes left. Don't invite anybody else up. Let's go to the candidate. And by the way, the candidate is a perfect example of how I am consistent and run the show. I've said it a gazillion times. I don't care if I like you. I don't care if I don't like you. I don't care if you agree with me or you disagree with me. As long as you're respectful, which the candidate is, he is more than welcome to come in the room and get his fresh five, which he already got. And now he gets his closing thought and burning desire. Candidate, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I think all of us on this app, consistently repattern ourselves into this app and all these relationships and communications exchanges we have. And I just want to read, for 60 seconds, some quotations from a book.
Yes, and by the way, I've been consistent about this. Anybody is entitled to read for 60 seconds, and then if it takes more than that, you can paraphrase. You can read for 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, if you're given a choice between money and sex appeal, take the money. As you get older, the money will become your sex appeal. Nothing is more difficult and therefore more precious than to be able to decide. It is easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. Errors of haste are seldom committed singly. The first time a man always does too much, and precisely on that account he commits a second error, and then he does too little. It isn't enough to talk about peace, one must believe in it, and it isn't enough to believe in it, one must work at it. Humility is no substitute for a good personality. What I don't like about office Christmas parties is looking for a job the next day. That's Phyllis Diller. America is an enormous frosted cupcake in the middle of millions of starving people. Gloria Steinem. A long habit of not thinking a thing wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right. Thomas Paine. He that fights and runs away may turn and fight another day, but he that is in battle slain will never raise to fight again. That's Tacitus. So, we have 30 to 60 seconds to exchange information with each other. And I, just like reading books, because if I am in charge of my communication management, I just want high value intelligence, and therefore it becomes a book club. And that's my criticism of atheists, is that they're refusing to participate in a high value information exchange using books in a book club. I would just encourage you all. I have a house here on Clown House called Book Club. I read books every single morning of the week for about an hour, usually sacred spiritual texts, which deal with the self, which is really personal development and self-development and self-analysis or self-actualization. I like to consider myself as a self-actualization comedian or a self-actualization politician. And all I'm trying to say is that stillness, silence, peace, joy can be held and had by all, but you have to choose to create that sacred space for yourself of contentment through content. And this app is so full of neurotic thinking, compulsive thinking, never-ending thinking, that until you slow down and get into a quiet space, it is dialectic ASMR or neurolinguistic programming. That's my point. No one can prove there's a God. No one can touch, taste, feel, or smell unless you think everything is an extension of the God. The all, this phone, this conversation, the coffee in my mouth. It's, there's a Yiddish expression, alles ist Gott. All is God. And so if, as an atheist, you deny that sentiment that all is God, I don't know what ground you have to stand on. You call yourself a moral superior, you have moral superiority and just social justice virtue signaling on a whole range of topics, but yet you deny the existence of everything because you say there is no God. So all I'm trying to say is meditation and books or poetry is a great way to experience your great journey. Thank you. I'm complete.
I'm going to follow that up. Normally I would drop you as anybody else to the audience, but I'm going to follow that up with a couple of questions. Have you ever heard me once say today or at any time since you've known me, which has been a couple of years on Clubhouse, that I am morally superior to anybody? Have you ever heard me say that once?
I wasn't addressing you specifically. I was talking generally.
You addressed atheists. I'm an atheist. Have you? I assume that's a no, because I can tell you all, I have never once said I am morally superior to anybody. Now,
Uncle Steve, I'm
yes.
pretty sure you're morally superior to me.
Well, other people have said that. I have not said that.
I know you, so I'm comfortable saying that.
Okay. Number two, since I've known you, I have blocked about 18 of your different accounts because I only want to deal with one candidate. When you say you want to have, well, I'm paraphrasing now, open, honest, intelligent discussions, I don't know how putting together at least 18 different profiles does that. And last but not least, I've heard you say, since I've known you, over 100 times that all, quote, all communication is hypnosis, close quote. Let me repeat that. Since I've known you, I've heard you say over 100 times, and I have the receipts, all communication is hypnosis, close quote. So here's my last question for you to answer intelligently, hopefully. If indeed all communication is hypnosis, are you using hypnosis to try and get people to vote for you?
Well, if I believe that all communication is hypnosis, and I believe that I'm exchanging high information, high value information or intelligence with voters, well, then hopefully they'll vote with me because they respect and appreciate my truthful intelligence that I'm trying to share with them. But Steve, I've had 100 Clubhouse accounts because I record everything I do here and put it on multiple platforms, much to the dismay of many other users who end up getting recorded and resent the fact that I record myself or use my cell phones in the way that I choose to use my cell phones. It may be a little eccentric, but nonetheless, this is an art project that I have chosen to pursue. And all I can say is, Steve, you have created great content for me, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. And you run a professional room. But it's your show, and I respect that. And the thing is, what I said about the book club and about enlightenment or meditation, I'm just a broken record repeating myself on this app as well as everyone else. We're just repeating a pattern. And that's all I really have to say. And I hope everybody has a great day.
First class escort to the VIP. Quote, I'm just a broken record repeating myself. Close quote. Those are the facts. I will let all of you decide for yourself. Let's go. You know what? Andrew is here. I don't think Andrew has spoken yet. Andrew, please unmute. Have you spoken yet?
No, I have not.
You know what? We're going to go OT. Andrew, I'm going to give you a fresh five, my friend and neighbor to the north. Good morning, Andrew. It's a pleasure to see you back on the show, everybody. We're going to go OT. Andrew, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I had a few things, but many of them have gone away. I just want to comment a little bit about some of the things that I've heard this morning. In regards to your shutdown, I really sympathize with the American people that are suffering. And I think maybe you might want to consider changing your form of government from the Republican format, which you have now, that your founding fathers passed on to you, to more of the Westminster-style parliamentary system that we have here in Canada and the United Kingdom. For one reason, and this is the reason, this kind of thing that you are experiencing in the United States does not happen here. It cannot happen here. Because and I'll give you an example, it's recent too. Justin Trudeau was our Prime Minister not more than 9 months ago. He hadn't passed a budget since spring of 2024, so we're talking 18 months. But the government continues on.
I don't need permissions.
Generally, we expect a budget in the spring. That didn't happen. We had an election. So then we expected maybe the Carney government would put out a budget. They didn't. They just did the other day.
Permissions to use
So
my
we're
cell
talking
phones.
18 months. But things don't shut down. People aren't, losing programs, losing benefits. We're just waiting until a budget is passed. So that budget was tabled in the House of Commons. Now, the Liberal government, as we have now in Canada, is a minority government, which means they don't have enough seats by themselves to pass any legislation whatsoever. It has to go to the House of Commons and it's voted on. If they do not get that legislation passed, that's considered a non-confidence vote, and we would go to an election because the House has no confidence in the ruling or the party that has the most seats.
And I'm going to interrupt you very quickly. In your country, you vote for parties. You do not vote for individuals. Please continue.
Well, that's not quite true.
Oh, I thought it was. I apologize. I must be wrong. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Well, you vote for parties too.
No, that's not true. In our general election, it doesn't matter what party we vote for. We vote for an individual.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So do I.
Oh, okay.
I have a constituency here, and there's 3, 4, 5, 6 candidates running. I vote for one of those candidates. If they're a conservative and I'm not a conservative, I'm not going to vote for the conservative candidate unless he's got some really, really strong local policies that are going to affect me here personally. But and then those are political, calculations that people make every day during an election, who they're going to vote for. So no, we vote for an individual, and that party then, if he's a conservative, he takes that to the House of Commons and sits as a conservative with the rest of them. But so we don't shut down. Our government continues on. There's continuity, and then we just wait to see when the next election is going to be. So, as I said, we just had a budget that was tabled, and it slightly passed because I don't think anybody wants to do an election right now. We just had one, so there's a political calculation that people are making. In terms of Mount Danny, I think this is really, I mean, it's going to be a disrupting force, but I think it's probably a force for good because the affordability crisis, we have it here too. We have it in, most places, I think, around the world. You look, at least in the Western world, there's an affordability crisis. And things are out of reach. They're not just like, you got to work hard to get them. They're out of reach for most people, especially the young. They don't, they're walking into a situation that their parents didn't and their grandparents didn't walk into. They had a chance. I think the chances are very, very slim now for most young people. And so what alternative do you have? This is a repudiation of unbridled capitalism with a 1% totally filthy rich and the rest of us struggling to scrape by. And as long as that continues, you're going to eventually, and I told this to my sister many, many, many years ago. I said, there's a revolution coming. I don't know when, I don't know how it'll be, but I think we're seeing some of that now. There's a revolution against this oligarchy, whatever you want to call it, where people have just such enormous sick wealth, and the rest of us are just struggling. And my final word is, I had a great experience last night, tremendously nervous. My football team was in the Western Final to go to the Grey Cup. They were down by 7 points with 63 seconds left, and with 14 seconds left, they scored a touchdown, taking them into the lead, and they are now going to the Grey Cup. So I'm very happy about that. I had to have a beer right after that, which was late, but that was okay. So thank you very much, Uncle Steve. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you on the Clubhouse streets. Oh, and the other thing, on Clubhouse, just curate your friends. If they're really bizarre and way out there, then, keep your distance.
Thank you very much, First Club.
Can I just say one thing to Andrew?
Yeah.
I think his criticisms of our form of government are really helpful. I think that without even going full Westminster parliamentary in nature, if we just got rid of the filibuster this week, right? I mean, you wouldn't be able to hold things hostage like this. This is a simple procedural rule that we could get rid of, and that would go a long way to making government better. And you know what? I would take, as a Democrat, I would take a loss on this healthcare subsidy thing if we could get rid of the filibuster. Because long term, I think that would be for great government.
entire graveyards could be built.
And before we move on, I'm on ChatGPT, and again, ChatGPT is not always 100% correct, but let me take 60 seconds to read to you what's on ChatGPT, so take it for what it's worth. Quote, in Canada, you do not vote directly for the Prime Minister. Here's how it works. Voters cast a ballot for a local candidate in their federal electoral district, and then it says, in parenthesis, writing, that candidate may represent a political party or may run as an independent. The party that wins the most seats in the House of Commons of Canada, often a majority of seats, then forms the government. The leader of that winning party is invited by the Governor General of Canada, the Crown's representative, to become Prime Minister. So in short, you vote for an individual candidate in your riding, but the decision about who becomes Prime Minister is indirectly based on which party gets the most seats, who leads that party. Again, I would never disagree with Andrew. Andrew comes on, he's a friend of the show, a neighbor to the north. He clearly knows a hell of a lot more about Canada and the politics than I do. I'm just repeating what ChatGPT says, so take it for what it's worth. Let's go to David. David, would you like to say goodbye?
Well, I just wanted to. I'm. While I was listening and hanging out, I was going through my New York Times Sunday edition today, and there was an advertisement taken out on page 16 by the general manager of strategic think tank in Amman, Jordan, a gentleman by the name of Hazem Salim Jamor, and he's calling out the White House for hosting the president of Syria tomorrow, where billions of dollars in rebuilding contracts are going to be probably entered into. He frames this gentleman, this new president that Trump, basically has embraced, as being on par with Bin Laden.
Hopefully, when he's in the White House, he doesn't pass out on the White House floor like that other person from the medical industry did a couple of days ago. But please continue.
Well, no, I'm pointing out this advertisement because, we're attacking Mondami pretty severely, and yet, he's an American. He was schooled here. He's now been elected to arguably one of the most important cities in the world. And, we're creating common cause and giving, he was on the terrorist list as of July of this year. So anyway, I think if we can give this guy some grace and say, hey, we can help rebuild your nation, and you're not going to turn your guns on us or the state of Israel and our friends, I don't think Mandami rises to the level of what this guy was and what he represented as an enemy of us, and the terrorist toll that he exacted running the show over there. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I don't know how it adds to the room or not adds to the room, but. And then also recall the business dealings that Trump entered into with Qatar.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds because
I'm going to land right here. But yeah. So anyway, I'm just saying that we, just because one might have a certain religious persuasion, does not necessarily mean that you're going to, met out the stereotypes that oftentimes are assigned to you, or. Let's just see what happens. So I'll land there.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are rushed for time. Norm, I can give you 60 seconds tops if you want to say goodbye.
Very well. As with the previous speaker, anybody who doesn't know how much a subway ride costs is not a New Yorker. It's $2.90. And if you're handicapped or need money, you can go for half. That's $1.45. That's a pretty good deal. The idea of free anything, and the major components of this guy, Mamdani's campaign, were free stuff, namely free buses and free childcare, I think up to the age of 9. And I got a breaking news bulletin for you. The rents are not going to come down. The best he can do is slow the increase in rent or freeze the increase in rent of rent-stabilized apartments. Regular people don't get rent-stabilized apartments. They're a precious commodity. That's 25% of the housing stock. New York has already started to become dirty, dangerous, and broken as it has been in the past. I've lived through it. I know how to survive under those circumstances. What happens is poor people die. That's what happens. Poor people, black and brown people, die and are burglarized because the law isn't enforced. Go look at some of the old movies, like The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Pelham 1, 2, 3, yes.
Or Fort Apache, the Bronx. People had 15 locks. I'm not exaggerating. 15 series of locks on their door, plus bars and stuff against the door, because people would just burst into their apartments and kill them, as happened to a friend of mine. Most people in New York had been victims of crime around the time when the other democratic socialist who was trying to run this.
You and I also like to.
Hey, what's up, Dad?
And I just have my night.
What was that? Sorry.
Snowstorm.
Yeah, I saw some flakes floating out. I got 2 more ACs I got to pop out.
living room window through into the patio, and then I'm seeing palm trees and water.
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy! It's rough out here. Anyway, so everything else okay?
Yeah, all's well. Samantha just texted me. She said mom's plane took off, and yeah,
Okay. Oh, so you're a free man again now.
yeah, I'm free. I guess she slipped in, got her stuff, and I told her just leave the key downstairs, and I'm
She
sure.
taking Uber to the airport?
No, Marty took her.
Oh, Marty took her. Oh.
Yeah, she has a tendency to Irish goodbye me.
What is that?
You don't say goodbye, you just leave.
She just left without saying goodbye.
I mean, pretty much, but I mean, as I was taking her to Marty's house, we got into an argument, or she was, yelling at me. I was yelling at her, and I was just like, I gotta, nothing. She just won't shut up. She just has, compulsive thinking. Every single second, it's just one more word after the next, and I'm just like, I need to take a break from you. Like, it's neurolinguistic overload in my brain. Can't deal with all the noise, And I was like, you got no idea how you sound. That little body makes quite a screech.
Oh gosh.
So I think I'm sure she took it personally, but like, that's the truth. I need some peace and quiet, and she doesn't bring any peace and quiet.
Well,
You're just like your father.
did she say that?
Yeah. I should have raised you better. I should have never left you. I should have there was so much more I needed to teach you.
Oh, jeez. Well, and did you ask her what that was?
I don't know. Apparently, you can fight over every, we're trying to get the pizza. I'm like, yeah, I'd want some garlic. I'd like, onion and giardiniera. And I'm not paying for all that. And then when the bill comes out, she said, "You're paying for that, right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm paying for it. Here we go." It's just like she's man, she's good. I mean, yikes! Like it's just too much. She's wow.
I remember once I think this was even before you were born. I don't know if I told you this story or not, but we were I think coming back from we went to this place in Wisconsin. I like to go for dinner. And I left a tip, and I noticed she was kind of angry in the car. And I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "You left too much money for a tip." I said, "Really?" I said, "How much over did I leave for a tip?" And she said, "At least $1." I said, $1? I said, "You're upset over $1?" She said, "Well, here's my thing of $1." And it reached in my pocket while I'm driving. I opened the window. I said, "Here's $1," and I threw it out the window. And I said, "Here's another $1," and I threw it. Oh my gosh, that caused a problem. She went berserk. It's over $1. You're upset over $1?
I wish I really wish she was like, a yogi, or just she needs to relax. And I gave her a book called Calm, and it's all these passages about how to be calm. I think she threw the book back at me.
Does she have anybody in her life? Does she have a boyfriend? Anything? Anything like that?
She's got neighbors.
She has neighbors, but she's kind of like a loner.
Well, I don't understand it. I mean, if you read enough books on wisdom and philosophy and God, you find some peace, and you make peace with everything. And she's just in constant conflict with everything and anything. And
is she still friendly with her sisters, or
no, she doesn't talk to she only talks to maybe one or two of them. But Nancy is a no-go zone. And a lot of this is just it's because of all the emotions that are generated. And unfortunately she likes to put the blame on everybody except herself. And maybe that's projection, but I mean, there's a point where you just need peace, and that peace can only come from not communicating or having silence. Because you can't bring up all the old stories and all the past dramas. Like you got to be in the present moment, and if that means just being quiet, that would be great.
Yeah, she's tough. She's a tough person to be around. Like, man, and even when as I remember, it's been so. It's funny when you've been divorced a long time, John. It's like that person never really existed. You wonder, it's like a dream. I can't even imagine myself, in those years. So time goes by.
Well, I'm her son, and I get the feeling she wants to use me as a companion. And
Oh, really?
yeah, meaning
Well,
that like she,
I thought she was more in tune with Samantha than anybody, really.
well, Samantha has, her relationship, I have my relationship, but the thing is, it's like, I can't force anybody to be anything. All I can do is try to control my environment. And if that means, shutting the door and saying, I'll call you, don't call me, but here's a key, like I need some alone time. I mean, the thing is, she can't sit still. And next thing I know, she's done this and she's done that. And now she's left me with more work that I wouldn't have done, unless she showed up and decided to pop those tiles out of the wall. Oh, thanks. Things like that, where she just pulls out a knife, a butter knife, and starts carving away. And you're like, what the F are you doing? I didn't ask you to do this. Can you sit still on your hands? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I guess she has to be doing something. Yeah.
She needs to, read a book like everybody else and stretch her body and have a bite to eat. I mean, it's not complicated to not cause conflict. Just be a pleasant guest.
She's the kind of person. I don't think she knows how to have fun. Yeah.
Well, fun might cost $5. She said, your steaks here are cheaper than in Albuquerque. They're only $13 here. And I think she boiled it. It was the most disgusting steak I ever had in my life.
You have to admit we were complete opposites, weren't we?
You really were. I can't believe you. That she keeps going on and on. Your father was a scam artist, and he only married me to fulfill more of his scams. I was a pawn. I was his patsy. And I'm like, she really, really. I mean,
she was such a patsy, but she had no problem taking the fruit from the.
She says, your father was a thief, and I was the better thief. I was like, so you admit? I was like, because, you should have heard all the shit. I'm just like, I told her, I was like, I can't believe in 2025, I'm 42, and you're bringing all this up, as if, like, you haven't let it go. And, boy, does she just have a real, sour grape in her. And her face is always snarled. And I'm just like, why when we are together, why can't we just have, peace and happiness? And, my life isn't perfect, but why can't we just have a nice time together? Why is it so emotionally, like a migraine? It's crazy.
Did she purposely bring up all this stuff when you were out of the blue?
Yeah, we drove, from Springfield back to Chicago, and she can't stop using her hands, and she keeps flinging her hands in front of my face while I'm driving. And I said, stop putting your hands in front of my face while I'm driving. Just sit on your hands if you have to. You don't have to have a conversation with your hands, and she couldn't stop. And eventually I had to give up because she has to talk with her hands. And I was just like, it was 4 hours of her yapping, and it was intense. I mean, woof.
She doesn't sound too happy, I guess. But, that's something everybody has to, if she's unhappy, it's really up to her.
She's not unhappy. Nobody's unhappy in their own little bubble. The challenge is, how do you go into other people's bubbles, remain happy, and also support that person and not cause them anxiety? That's the challenge. And she can't do that because, honestly, she's rather immature, somewhat petty and childish. She devolves into a little baby Jane, and she's angry at everybody, and she thinks, oof, yikes.
She talks to me like she's more not turning into baby Jane. She's turning into Chucky.
Chucky?
Yeah, the doll. The doll.
You know, there's this waitress at Paterno's, the Italian place, and she's kind of a bitch. And it took me like months to, years to get her to be pleasant, with me. But it's still very superficial because she is just a big butch bitch. And but man, you should have seen what mom said to her, and she literally was gonna explode, and she just sat down at the bar and stopped working. Because whenever you place an order, you have to have a tab. If you get a beer, you got to give her a card or you got to give her cash. And mom said, "I'll pay you after I'm done." And she says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but you can see on the sign here it says you have to have a tab." She says, "I'm not starting a tab with you." I was like, and she looks at me, the bartender looks at me, and I was just like, I shook my head and I said, and she kept whacking me in the arm and saying, "Look at me! Look at me! Look at me! Look at me!" And I was just like looking at the TV, watching sports, and I was just like, now I know why men watch sports, because their wives are just yapping and they're so obnoxious. And anyways, I never lost my cool, but the thing is, I hope she doesn't, think I'm being, because she said I was being mean to her and not patient. And I'm like, just trying to breathe over here. Can I get a breath?
Yeah, she's kind of a Karen, I guess, really, isn't she?
100%. She got everybody fired at the gym. She wrote this long letter. She said, "When I walk into that gym, I feel like I fucking own the place."
Jeez. And she's tough. Bringing up old stories, but now you know this story about the time I went to a party and I dragged her out of the party by her hair.
Yeah.
I mean, she had to be the center of attention. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I was in another room, and so he said, "You better get your wife out there before you kick her ass." I said, "Jeez."
Holy shit.
She was like that. But she wasn't like that all the time. When I first met her, she wasn't like that all the time. I don't know what happened. It's just, I guess, she had a tough family life, really, if you think about it. Her mother's as cold as ice.
Yeah. That's really what it is. It's her conditioning, and she's just, she is the updated Vivian.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It is. Yeah, it's tough. Well, you got through it in good fashion anyway, I guess so.
Well, I think I've learned my lesson, meaning that avoidance at all costs is the wiser side of virtue, because there's no winning with her. And it's funny because the way that her and I interact is the way that her and her mother interact, meaning that, just avoid, because she really dislikes Vivian, really dislikes Vivian. I mean, there's a lot of anger, a lot of dislike there.
Yeah, well, I guess she hasn't stopped her hatred for me, but I don't really, I wished her best of everything. I really don't have any bad thoughts about
That's what I told her. I was like, Dad has let it go and moved on, obviously, with his life, and could give two shits about the past. Not that he's not, sorry, or, it's just he's moved on. And she's like, "Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's been a long time. John, the other day I was saying, I can't believe that I've been retired since I was 63 from the police department. I can't believe it's been so many years since I just retired from the police department. It's 10 and 63. Got way over. It's 15 years. You can do the math. I can't believe it's been so long. Next thing you know, I'm gonna be in a nursing home, asking this big black woman, calling her mama.
Can I have an extra fruit punch?" "Everybody gets one. Shut your mouth, Jordan."
I remember that. It was so shocking to me because last time I saw Barton, when he was healthy, he was fine. Everything looked good. And boy, and then when I went to saw him after he was sick,
Yeah,
and he came out with a walker. It was shocking to me. I couldn't believe that he got so old so fast.
Yeah.
It was, because he was so healthy and bright when last time I saw him. I don't know how many years it was between that time, but
I know.
it was shocking.
I know. I got a photo of him driving that red convertible with his suitcase prior to going to a meeting, and I filmed a commercial with him. You know, you can go. It's on YouTube. A Health Guard Insurance, and he's healthy as could be. You know, just that one medical emergency. Just that's it. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Well, best to take life, take the good parts and enjoy it, because there's no happy ending. That's for sure.
I know.
I just went to a funeral yesterday of a person that we met here. We've known him now for 5 years, and his wife died of cancer. And the guy's heartbroken. She was 73 years old. But it's unfortunate, but life throws curves. So, but don't forget to take time to enjoy it all. And you're probably not wrong to be at peace as much as you can. What can you do?
Yeah, I mean, you can only get it yourself. I read in a book, it's like your mother and your father can only do so much for you. Like once you have wisdom and knowledge, like you have to rely on yourself. I can't, rely on my mother for anything other than, I guess the Bible commandment, honor thy mother and thy father. And if I fall short, I mean, I hope it's better than otherwise.
Yeah, I've always felt that I never really thought about my parents as influencing me, to be honest with you. I never really, I know my dad was mechanically inclined, maybe I got some of that, but other than that, I never remember my parents having any effect on my, when I look back at my life, I screwed up myself. I made some really bad decisions, terrible decisions, but that's life. Hopefully in the end they don't come back to haunt you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at this house. It's haunting me, because of the resurrection of debt. I mean, I thought this was out of my life. Nope.
Yeah. It's sometimes we step on our. They used to say, don't step on your own dick, but eventually, so many people do.
Look out for number one. Don't step in number two.
Number two, yeah. Great. All right. Well, at least you're at peace now, anyway. Right.
Yeah, it usually takes me 72 hours after an interaction with her to finally, purge the spring inside of me.
I have no hatred for your mom. I just, in a way, I kind of feel sorry for her. I do. I feel sorry that you.
That's the thing is I feel bad that we can't have, peace and enjoyment with each other. It's just a fight from start to finish. It's like never, it doesn't stop, and you're just like, I don't know, it's crazy. A lot of passive aggressive behavior as well, which is kind of crazy because there's bad communication and surprises. Surprise! And you're like, oh, okay, well, didn't ask you to do that, didn't know you were going to do that, didn't want you to do that, but okay.
Well, you're a good man for putting up with it anyway. You did a good job, actually. A lot of people would have just told her to fuck off and get out of my house.
Well, I've had enough Airbnb guests to know that out of sight, out of mind. But for her, that's like disrespectful and mean, and she's doing all this work for me, and I'm like, well, I didn't want you to do the work. I didn't ask you to do the work, and But anyway, she did do good work.
She started remodeling your house without you asking.
She did do good work. She did grout the shower and caulk it and stripped out all my shitty caulk. She really did a top-notch job, but boy, was she pissed when she did it. Holy shit. I mean, as I was eating my birthday dinner, the thought did pass my mind that she could have poisoned the food. I'm not kidding you. That thought really did actually go through my mind, and I'm like thinking to myself, stop thinking, just stop thinking.
That occurred to me many times too. That's why I was thinking of hiring a food taster.
All right. Well, have a great day. Good chat with you.
Be careful. Don't slip and fall in snowy weather again. So.
Oh no, I'm used to it. I got my ice bucket ready to go. I mean my salt
Yeah.
bucket.
Okay, all right. Well, be careful.
Okay, love you. Talk to you soon.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Even I also.
That's the truth. That's not opinions. Those are facts, right? Everything is an opinion. Oh boy, what a world, what a life.
I don't even know
No,
how to
that's
say.
all. Lou, you push. What I'm trying to tell you is, yo,
Well,
yeah, y'all can take that a step further. Forget hating the H guy, right? We should be hating the motherfucker that.
Oh man. Okay, this is the John Kitover Candidate Congressman podcast.
People that treat like SIRS, um, systemic inflammation, which is, the driver of chronic disease. Like the mast cells, they have over 1,000 um, molecules in there that in your body do all of these different things, and we can only measure a few of them to measure function. And so the mast cell activation dysfunction or syndrome is a big deal, and just even in our own basophils and mast cells, which are types of white cells, we have this amazing pharmacology in there, and to just redact it and put it out to just one chemical when there's a whole system going on that provides balance in a biologic system. In like mold related illness, molds didn't evolve to live inside wet walls of buildings, and so now we have sick building illness, or which is fairly common increasing illness, because we have walls where the fungi are not challenged and they get privileged place to live. So keeping things in an ecology is important, and that's the advantage of a plant, that it provides all of these other things, not just one chemical, that do all these wonderful things, and it stabilizes biologic systems. So I think that would just be another narrative meta-analysis of what is actually going on with chemical versus plant, or fungi, or tree, or whatever animal, or
that are considered truly that broad. Here's an ATR, you know where you are, you're like, hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Every single Sunday, 8:30. We're always here every Sunday. Showing up, always all the participants will love. Say what's up.
James,
Turned everything down now. Now you can't hear me. Can't hear me at all. Right? Is this better? If I like get my face right to the microphone, can you hear me?
did you find her?
Maybe so. There. What I did wrong there. Hold on.
Hey, Daniel, I just want to say that was an incredibly electrifyingly lucid discussion on the entourage effect and why we want the whole plant, generally speaking. I think we should go back and write that one down and put other words around it to show people it's important.
And I have an addition for you, particularly Jordan, that I've been wanting to tell you, that in terms of your book and your process, randomized clinical trials were designed to make patents.
Well, that and in reaction to the thalidomide disaster. So those, I'm sure, went hand in hand.
Yep.
I would just think that if I was going to be microdosing Ibogaine, which is something I'd be open to exploring at some point in the future, I would want it to be from an extract of the whole substance and not a very tiny amount of Ibogaine.
I am not. I'm drenched in the flood, which is yet to come. I'm tied up in the prison, which has yet to exist.
How about you, Wendy? Anything else? Well, everyone's on mute in a rare moment of silence. Yes, James. Well, James is gone again. James, you're in and out, dude.
The conversation's interesting. After I finish up my synthetic mescaline protocol development, I'm actually working on an iboga microdose protocol. So this is good for me to learn about.
Do you have an answer to my question, Wendy, about if you took what would be the equivalent of a microdose functionally as we define in terms of classic psychedelics, is there a chance that could go on for 2 days because of the way iboga or ibogaine is, or would that only really happen to people who are taking full doses?
I personally believe that that period that extends outward is longer. So, like the second day effect, as James calls it, will probably be more on the third day. So from the preliminary research that I've been doing, like collecting stories from people on their experiences, just to get a starting point for some stuff, most of them do it like every few days, every 3 days, and because they don't feel the need to do it every day. And
you don't need to kick the potter's. You don't need to kick the potter's wheel as often. Those processes are already all going. Well, that was really interesting. Also about the non-competitive binder. I want to read up more on that.
Yeah.
I from my microdosing with Amanita, I always find that it seems to stick longer than most of the other ones that I work with. And I feel like it's that same type of concept when you're in that particular space. Because ketamine can be sticky.
Is it because they're both glutamate related?
Yeah, it's the glutamate and choline. So you need both glutamate and acetylcholine for memories and to capture information. So glutamate and choline are indicative of your attention. I know that sounds a little arbitrary the way I said that right there. But like when your attention is on something and it's increased intention, you increase glutamine and acetylcholine. If there's more emotional content, it will increase the acetylcholine, and together those bind in order to have to think differently. So like you can pay attention to the things that are in your life and have a new thought.
Keep it Zenny
For
run.
the most part, you drive down the street and there's not like a whole bunch of glutamate and acetylcholine for a street you've traveled down, 15 times. But if something out of the ordinary happens, there will be an increase in glutamate and acetylcholine for you to capture that information and then think differently about it. So back with this, with the iboga, there is, especially with the opioid receptors, because opioid increases, I don't remember. I don't want to say this off the top of my head, but there's two receptors that are on iboga that increase both glutamate and acetylcholine. I just don't remember which ones, but I know the opioid plays a part in that as well. So anytime you tickle the opioid receptors, you're increasing. Do you remember, Daniel, if it's glutamate or acetylcholine? Or does anyone know?
Oh, Wendy, talk neurochemistry to me. I love it.
Sounds like a magical moment for AI. Right, that's a good AI prompt. And I know you get. This is a fascinating conversation. Bringing that to the table would be great. And I think we're going to be talking about Iboga and Ibogaine quite a bit as the discussion. There's a lot to be said here. And I think in general, what we're talking about here, this system, the acetylcholine, GABA receptors, glutamate, uptake, all these things. It's one of the missing pieces of the puzzle in the greater conversation, and so I'm very happy that when we're discussing in the future. In a second, I got quite Michael James up on top, hanging out. And I just want to say we're here every single Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, and I hope you got.
Thank you, James.
Damn, bro, can't put on a show.
When that album came out.
But Marcos, Tupac is not culturally or stylistically an East Coast rapper at all. He's not rapping to East Coasters. He's rapping to
That's how we get around that, Marty. Don't say Tupac, say MC New York. She puts MC New York.
Okay.
MC New York
I'm
song.
gonna say MC New York. But before he died, if y'all
that we're the only people alive who have the ability to change things, and we have capacity, but we also remember the old world. Like Gen Zs don't remember the old world. Gen X and Boomers have low capacity, and we're the only people with both. So if we don't get to it, it's over.
It really scares me what people who are like 7 to 12 who grew up under COVID, what level of authoritarianism they will think is perfectly permissible if we don't change the culture radically back to what we used to be.